This is Ben from Testive, and we're looking at an SAT reading question. This question states, in the context of the passage, the author's use of the phrase, by the same token, in line 26, indicates that. Okay, so when we have a question like this, we're going to go to the line number and read the given sentence. We're also going to look at our answer choices here and see that they're all talking about unjust laws and just laws. So we're looking at probably the way that these two things are somehow related in this passage. So what is the use of the phrase, what is the meaning of the use of the phrase, by the same token? So we're going to go to line 26, where we have by the same token, and read this portion. I'm going to go back one sentence prior. An unjust law is a code that a numerical or power majority group, so a majority group, compels a minority group to obey but does not make binding on itself. This is difference made legal. Okay, so this is saying, I'm going to paraphrase to myself. This is saying an unjust law is a law that the majority makes the minority obey, but the majority doesn't actually obey. And that is, and it's a law because you're making that difference legal. By the same token, a just law is a code that a majority compels a minority to follow and that it is willing to follow itself. This is sameness made legal. So this is sort of saying the same thing, except it's saying that in this case, it's a just law is a law that the majority makes but then also follows on its own. And that it's a law because you're making that sameness between the groups legal. And so we want to know why this phrase by the same token is used or what it means. So we can go back to our answer choices and we can rule out the first answer choice. Unjust laws and just laws are both symbols. That's really supposed to throw us off because token and symbol kind of have a similar meaning. We can also probably throw out the final answer choice, the majority group compels the minority group in both unjust and just laws. That's true, but when we see this phrase, by the same token, we can imagine that there has to be a purpose beyond just saying, well, there are two kind of facts that are the same. Let's think about what's really happening here. These sentences are related in every way. They follow exactly the same pattern. An unjust law is a code that a majority group compels a minority group to obey, but does not make binding, or and that it is willing to follow. So it's really following exactly the same pattern here. So what that's leading me to is that this second answer choice, the same reasoning applies when describing unjust laws and just laws. This is the most specific explanation of what's happening in this paragraph. Yes, it's true that unjust laws and just laws are both legal codes, but that's very vague. That doesn't really tell us much about the use of this phrase, by the same token. We could imagine by the same token, in this case, if we were to substitute in the same reasoning applies, if we were to say, the same reasoning, this is difference made legal. The same reasoning applies to just laws. A just law is a code that a majority compels. Well, that makes sense, and it's much more specific. So I'm going to go with this answer choice B.